Okay, so I just wanted to talk about timelines really briefly. Um, Someone asked me to, and I am finally doing this. Okay. Ooh, feels like I'm choking, y'all. I started off cold, and now I'm right there. Heat is on. Okay, so I'm just gonna try to do like a brief explanation behind timelines, timeline jumping, how to do it. Okay. All right. Because there's many things that, like, there's many different perspectives or whatever, but I think they all link to the same understanding. Okay. So when it comes to timeline hopping and different stuff like that, see, a lot of people think it's some miraculous thing you do. You get in a spaceship and you travel and you enter into another dimension and boom. I'm not doubting that there's not real spacecraft out there and everything, but you understand that your vehicle, you already operate a vehicle. Okay, your soul's operating the spacecraft right here, which is your body. All right. Therefore, through that understanding alone, you must know that you can dimension hop. All right. It's easy to do. You just got to open your mind to it, and you got to understand that that's what you're doing. And there's people who get to many different levels. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I had my experiences, but I haven't had some experiences like other people have had. And I think that I will get there if that's my thing, if that's what I'm supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? But it's not, and it's not something I'm necessarily manifesting, I always like to learn more, but yeah. So once you understand that, you already have a spacecraft, a space vehicle, whatever the case may you want to put it, however you want to put it, right here, your body, and you could do many things, wow. And when you understand that, then you begin to understand the idea of doing of timelines. Okay, first let's get this straight. There's no real thing as time. I know it seems like it is, because you got your clock in front of you, your digital clock, your wall clock, your phone, whatever the case may be, telling you what time it is. Now, imagine if we get rid of all of that. What then? Okay, one could say you can still keep touch of time with a sundial. Like, you just stick a stick in the ground or some type of device, pole, whatever the case may be, and you watch that shadow as the sun rises, set around that particular object, and you can tell what time it is. You know what I'm saying? Okay, fine. You would, in terms of, because let's say you didn't know where the numbers were placed, none of that. Let's say we had none of the use or the understanding of any of that, right? I know we do, but I'm saying, let's say we don't. You definitely would then tell your time through the sun, but it's not really time necessarily as we understand time to be. Now, I'm not going to argue against time at this point. Like, not against, yes, there's no such thing as time, but what we've configured in order to keep a certain schedule for ourselves. I'm not going to knock that. Because, see, let's say I decide to say, hey, you right there, meet me at Starbucks at 3 p.m. I don't want to be sitting up there at 3 p.m. and you trying to guess when 3 p.m. is going to come. You know what I'm saying? So I understand the advantage of keeping time. But you have to understand that we don't have to be locked under the constraints or the confinement of time. Okay? Once you understand that, you free yourself. That's when you get, or even if you don't have the higher understanding of why you're freeing yourself, that's when you get the time breaks. You look at time differently. Now you're looking at time as some type of messages. You probably won't even pay attention to time really unless you got to be to work or something, or because you got to meet somebody somewhere, you got to be somewhere, or for some type of language, some type of message. Okay, like, you might not even notice the time any other time. You just know it's like, oh yeah, it's 2:22, and that's speaking a message to you. You get what I'm saying? Oh wow, it's 9/11. That's speaking a message to you. You're not keeping in terms of, it's 9/11, I have to be somewhere or do something, if that makes any sense. Okay, so with that, you have to understand that this is a reality that was created for the collective, that we all participate in, and that pretty much puts us on a specific timeline, whether we want to be there or not, as a collective of people. All right, I want you to understand that, because we have joined in collectively to someone else's manifestation for us. So, how does timeline fits in there? Because time and line, which is basically linear time, that is not true necessarily. I know this gets confusing. It sounds like a contradiction. That's because it is when you're living in a dual world. Everything's a freaking contradiction until you get out of the contradiction. That's when you create things for yourself. That's when you have your own understanding of thyself, and you won't fall in a lot of these paradigms. But either way, when you're here on earth, there are certain universal laws that we live by and we're governed by. Okay, so there is a such thing as a government as well, because we're governed by law, but we don't have to be governed and controlled by it. We can all understand them, or what we want to collectively live by, and honor that. You know what I'm saying? And have no one control anyone. You know, we through understanding and knowledge and logic, and not logic that we've always known. No. Then we can make a better world for ourselves. Okay? So, gosh, I can't stand when I'm trying to say something and then like Spirit is channeling messages to me. Like, don't use my time to come in and send y'all other people personal messages. Okay? So, anyways, okay, so the timeline. All right, let's look at time. All right, so let's just say, okay, let's back it up more. Birth charts. Okay, so let's say you're born in the world at a particular time, and you can look up your birth chart. You can find out all this information about like what you could be experiencing as a child, the lessons that you were here to learn, what you do to like overcome yourself now, and like what you can expect, you know, or have happen with you, what you can use for your advantage, what could be used to your disadvantage, you know, depending on placements, and the placements of the constellations and all that at the time of your birth, okay, or our birth. With that being said, I'm sorry, y'all, because this gets really hard to explain. With that being said, I want you to understand that, bam, there goes a timeline put in place for you. Okay, or there goes you and your experience right there. All right, and it's not as narrow as people would like to say, because really, technically, while you are birthed in here, and due to certain planetary alignments and positions and all that, you know what I'm saying, we're subject to be that of our birth chart. We don't have to be any of those things. We don't have to be one particular sign. We don't have to be one particular energy. And as you master yourself, you realize that, okay? So we can, what it's saying basically is it's saying like you have all these things work for you or against you, or you can let that play out however you like it to play out. You get the choice. You can let that play out, or you can awaken to certain things and understandings, and you can have them those things help you and play to your advantage. We can have these things play to our advantage or whatever, okay, by understanding them alone. So I'm saying that because you're on a particular timeline. Let's see, look at where you are in your here and now. Now, this is hard to fathom by the mind alone that's conditioned, okay? So just bear with me. Take you where you are. You're here now and you're watching this video, right? Okay. Set the video on pause for a second if you want to, in order to help you get in the mode of the picture that I'm going to paint for you. After I paint the picture, set the video to pause if you feel like it, and then come back to the video. Okay, so you're here and now. This is where you're at right now, the particular place you're at now. Not where you're going to be 10 years from now. Not where you were 10 years ago, or where you're going to be 5 years from now, not even a year from now, or where you were a year ago. Let's set that aside. Be in the here and the now. While you're in the here and the now, look at your surroundings. What's surrounding you in your here and now. Where are you at? Who are you involved with? What job are you on? What are your limitations? You know, all of these. And there's some people over here like cutting the grass and stuff like that. So, wow. But you got to take all of this stuff into consideration, right? And then once you do that, all right, you then see, surprise, the particular timeline that you're on, that you picked, whether you picked it consciously or subconsciously, it doesn't matter at this point. You still picked it. This is where awareness and you waking up is going to help you get on the timeline that you want to be on, all right? Because you can say, well, it's about destiny, this is what I'm supposed to do, but not necessarily. Remember, these are all words and these are all terms that was given to us. And I'm not doubting these wordings and these terms, but I'm just telling you, look at where you are. Know that you consciously or subconsciously made a choice to be there. Now, after you've done that, okay, come back to the video. Okay, you're back. How do you timeline jump? Okay, basically, this is easier than you think. You have different timelines. We all have different timelines playing out for us simultaneously. I want you to understand that. Okay, they're all playing out for us. They're all going on at one time, and like the only way to really narrow them down is if you become conscious and aware of what you're creating and what you're manifesting. And as you narrow them down, you sink them in. Like, I know a lot of people that say that they're all combined now, the rest of them are shut down. I don't really understand how, when we're actively creating our reality as we go along. So what you're going to do is, when you're understanding, or you understand, you now know where you're at. You can completely, I want you to understand this, that you can completely get rid of that identity, of this particular timeline, and you can become something completely different, whether you believe that or not. And this could be done. There's people that change their names all the time, their identity all the time. You know what I'm saying? Lose touch with people all the time, fake their deaths all the time. I'm not telling you guys to fake your death or any of that, but I'm saying you could do it. But anyways, what I'm trying to explain is just complete. It's just, and you can do it without doing any of those things. You yourself decide you want to change and you want to get on a different timeline. And when you get on it, there's something that other timeline has to end. So something that you may be doing, it could be a job, it could be a location, it could be what you always thought you were, whatever the case may be, who you are married to, who you are partnered with, whatever the case may be. You can shut that timeline down and you can get on another timeline. And that other timeline is playing out too. You're playing it out because you're creating it. You get what I'm saying? And then now you're actively creating this other timeline that you are on. And you're manifesting from this next timeline, and you're not following the timeline that you're on. Does that, please, y'all comment and let me know, because it's hard for me to explain certain stuff. Okay, so oh, wow. Okay, so it takes, and let me tell you, it takes a lot of unconditioning. That's what it takes, a lot of mental unconditioning. Now, to go even broader with you, if you become conscious and awake, I promise you can sit in the here and now, and you can look to your past, and you can look to the future of a particular timeline that you want. You'll envision it, you'll see it, and you'll be like, well, dang, I can have that timeline. Manifest from that timeline that you want. Okay? And you'll see everything play out. And you'll be like, oh, you'll see the past leading all the way up to the future of one of the choices that you can make. I know that sounds crazy. I know it does. But it's happened to me before. And you can see that prediction, and you can doubt it, because you'll be like, okay, because in the now, you're not believing in and trusting in that future that you want. That's really all timelines are. And yes, it goes way back in the past, like past lives, because you got past life timelines too, that you are sometimes living out through patterns in these particular timelines, okay, and your present life timelines. And you've accrued a debt okay, from past life situations. Now, a lot of people, I promise you, if you start handling debt that may come up for you and from past lives, if you start handling those and facing those in this current lifetime and not running from them, then and you can really run from karma, I know, but it's not about, there's something in my eye. It's not about necessarily telling that, it's not about necessarily running from karma, but I'm saying like karma can also play out as like things that we have to heal within ourselves that we run from and we don't want to heal, and we hide behind our ego in order to act like it doesn't exist, you know, instead of facing it. Then you'll start realizing, as you clear up this debt from the past, you'll start seeing debt and stuff like that we owe in our present lifetime we start to find answers and ways to alleviate those debts. You know what I'm saying? By healing those depths of the past. You know, there'll be opportunities that come up out of nowhere. You know, the universe will start to work in your favor. Okay, and none of that stuff can hold you back because you are energetically clearing your debt as above, so below. Okay, nothing can hold you back. It doesn't matter what you feel like is going on and what you feel like you cannot do. You can do everything. All right. So that's a quick thing on the timelines. I'm not going to go in more than that, but I do want to go in more about just a tad bit about how does manifesting work in this situation, because you got to understand when you're thinking about manifesting, a lot of times people are thinking about large amounts of money that's going to just heal their life altogether. No, it's best to manifest from the place that you are at in the here and the now. Okay. And understand that what you're manifesting. And remember, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if you get it without a clear intention. I don't know if you'll get it the way that you want, because see, you can get something, manifest something, but not really be 100% ready for it. And that could cause the universe to have to kind of test you on it to see if that manifestation that you're asking for is really what you're ready for. And how do they test you on it? To see like if before you actually get into the fluent art of manifestation, if you're going to doubt your own manifestations. Because doubt shows a person that's not really ready for what they're asking for. Okay, so you got that, and you got the fact that like when it comes to manifesting, you got the fact that you may manifest something that you're not really, I mean, and it may come to you. You got to be careful of like the wording, what you're manifesting, because it can come to you and it can actually backfire. And this is not nothing to be scared of. No, it'll be like, okay, you get a lot of money, but then you got a whole bunch of bills you got to pay. You get what I'm saying? That's why when it comes to manifesting, it's important for you to be at a certain place consciously. And the healing is definitely, I feel like it's definitely reasonable and just makes a lot of sense logically to like really work on yourself and really work on healing and facing some things, because see, it'll get you to a place on a manifesting level. It'll get you to a better place. Then you can be clear about things that you are seeing and witnessing and conscious about your being, and therefore you can get yourself on the timeline that you want. And you can never be too old to be on a certain timeline, because I know your age doesn't declare your lifespan per se. Like for instance, I know like some people that died in their 20s, 30s as a kid. You know what I'm saying? I know some 12-year-olds that's died just in the past couple months. Sorry. So how about them apples? Okay. All right. So I want to say thank you. And yes, feel free to hit me up at butterfly2light11@gmail.com. Peace.